Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of In Real Time. Y'all, you already know what I'm about to say. I'm super hyped about today's episode. Okay, so y'all listen, we're going to just go ahead and jump right in. So guys, on today's episode, we're going to talk about a revelation that the Lord gave me that literally blew my mind. Lately, I feel like the Lord has been dropping gems in my spirit. And the most amazing thing that I'm learning is that when the Lord drops gems, it's not always something that's like super complex. Like what I'm going to share with you on today's episode is so basic. And some of you guys may have known it, but I didn't know it. And it literally changed my perspective on things. So a few weeks ago at the beginning of the month, I was praying and I went into my closet. I said, Lord, I'm having a business meeting with you. What is it that you want me to focus on? So I told you guys that I've been a real estate agent for the past couple of years and I love my clients, but I've had a love-hate relationship with real estate. And one of the reasons for that is because it is a very demanding field. And I felt burnt out. But the Lord told me, he's like, hey, listen, this is a part of what I have for you. Like, stay in there. Don't quit. And I said, okay, God, I'm going to submit and I'm not going to quit, but I need you to, tell me what to do to make me, not hate what I'm doing. And he told me, he said, this month, the month of March, I want you to focus on developing a routine. Develop a routine that you want to take place in every single business that you have. And so I have always had some sort of routine, but it wasn't something that was so concrete to where every single client would have the same experience. Now, all of my clients' experiences were not bad. I always have great feedback from all my clients, but what I'm saying is that behind the scenes, I am literally running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and that in itself causes me to be exhausted. So fast forward yesterday, I was, redoing my affirmation board. And I'm like, Lord, is there any affirmations that I need to write down that I'm not remembering or, anything like that? And Holy Spirit said, look up the definition of discipline. And first of all, if you say discipline to me, it feels like a cuss word. I ain't even gonna lie. You say discipline, I instantly get a little chip on my shoulder like, I don't want to hear nothing else you got to say. Because it felt just so mean to me to say that word. Like I knew it wasn't a bad word, but it felt like a bad word. And I realized today after reading the definition that I had discipline all wrong. So as I begin to read the definition of discipline, I'm going to share it with you guys. The first definition says control gained by enforcing obedience or order. So control gained by enforcing order. The second definition says orderly or prescribed conduct or pattern of behavior. Pattern of behavior. And then the third definition is self-control. So there's a few things about being disciplined that I want to share with you guys. The first thing is that being undisciplined causes you to work harder and not smarter. I remember back at my first big girl job, I had a boss who used to always tell me, hey, work smarter, not harder. And back then I didn't really get it, but now that I'm a little older, I understand exactly what he was saying. So being disciplined literally causes you to work harder at things that should be simple in your life. If you just made it a priority to make a routine and stick to that routine, it would allow you to save so much energy on the things that you should not be thinking about. For example, in my business, there's always a process from beginning to end. Now, sometimes, of course, things don't go as planned, but for the most part, there's always a process. If I took time to just take the client I have and plug them into that process instead of recreating the process every single time I have to go through it, it would save me so much energy. The second point I want to share with you guys is that being undisciplined can mess with your self-esteem. For example, I remember when I first got licensed, I would go into the office and I was so starstruck because I got to work alongside some of the best agents in the business. I mean, these people were top mega producers. And I would go in and I would see them all in their office and they would be working and, making deals and stuff. And I was just so inspired by them. And so I would go into my office and I would begin to do the same. I would begin to work and figure out how I'm going to, become a top mega producer. And it started to really mess with me because I would go into my office just like they were, but I wasn't coming out with the same results. And now here I am today realizing that one of the reasons why I wasn't coming out with the same results as them is because I did not have a routine. I did not have a formula for exactly what I was going to do every day. I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't have that thing written down like on a checklist. And so what it started making me feel like was that I wasn't working hard enough. So what did I do? I began to work harder. And as I began to work harder, I began to toil more. And because of that, I did close a little bit more deals, but it didn't yield me the results that I expected for. And so that began to play on my self-esteem. And I always, like I said, I always just felt like, oh my God, Andrea, you need to work harder. You need to work harder. And then I would get these narratives going where it's like, you're lazy. You're not working hard enough. And it just was a downward spiral. When all reality, it wasn't that I wasn't working hard. In fact, I was working harder than they were. But because they had implemented discipline in their life, in their daily routine, they were able to yield more results. And so what the Holy Spirit said to me was, he said, you can be a hard worker and be undisciplined. And I know that's going to mess with a lot of y'all, but it's the truth. You can literally be a hard worker and be undisciplined. And like I said earlier, the reality of it is that you're probably working harder than a lot of people who are disciplined because they know what they're going in to do. They get in there, they do it, and they go home. Something else that Holy Spirit revealed to me was that being disciplined increases your capacity. It increases your capacity because it allows you to get more done. And that's because you're working smarter and not harder. Again, like I said earlier, I would literally go into the office and my wheels would just be turning constantly and it would just exhaust me. So by the time I'm done with whatever I have to do, I don't want to do anything else, or I don't want to go the extra mile above and beyond because I am so physically and mentally drained because I've spent so much time toiling. And when the Holy Spirit showed me this, I imagine like a hamster on a hamster wheel. Like they're running, but they're not actually going anywhere. Or I even imagine, I don't know if you guys, back in the day when we used to ride bikes, if you remember how bikes had like different speeds and you could turn up the speed to where you would pedal more, but you wouldn't go as fast, or it wouldn't give the bike as much power. Or if your chain popped on your bike, you could pedal, but you're not really going anywhere, but you're still exerting energy. And so that is how I felt working in this business, working in business in general, again, because I lacked discipline. So I'm going to encourage you to do what the Lord encouraged me to do to overcome this obstacle. And that one thing was to develop a routine, develop checklists, take time to map out exactly how you want your business to go. And if you are not an entrepreneur, that's okay. You can still apply this to your life. Simply set yourself up for success. So if you know that every morning when you get up, you're going to be rushing out the door, running in circles, and then by the time you get to work, you're frustrated because you had to run in, find a parking spot, lay your clothes out the night before and make that a habit. Make that a routine to always lay your clothes out the night before. If you know that during the week you don't have a whole lot of time to clean, go ahead and make a routine to clean your house on the weekend. If you know you don't have a lot of time during the week to go grocery shopping, make a routine to order your groceries on Saturday or on Sunday, whatever that looks like for you, so that you can simplify your life and work smarter and not harder. So reduce your stress, increase your confidence, all simply by creating a routine. And I want to leave you guys with one last thought. Is it possible that maybe, just maybe, you're not incapable of living out your wildest dreams and doing what it is that you know you've been called to do? But instead, maybe you've been undisciplined with the process that will take you there. So guys, that wraps up this week's episode of In Real Time. I literally could talk to you guys about this topic forever. I could go on and on about it, but I don't want to continue to talk about it. I want you guys to get out there and develop a routine, develop a system, develop some discipline, and get those systems and things into place so that when the time comes, all you have to do is walk it out. Be sure to like, rate, comment, and share this show. Also, follow us on social media. I have that linked in the description of the show. And until next time, love ya.